In the last Toku themed... Wait a minute. In the last Toku themed YIAY, I ask you to create your very own Toku podcast. Here are your answers. What is up, Toku News Nation? I'm your host, Killer Wazstar. Let's go on to the news. Okay, that was a joke. He did have a real submission. Said it was called Toku Storytime. And it would be about where Toku fans get to submit their own stories, either fan-made episodes of existing Toku shows, adaptations. And he made it very clear. He made a direct message to M&L that I completely 100% agree with, or original Toku ideas. Actually, I would listen to that. Not gonna lie, I would listen to that, yeah. The Time Jackers podcast. Basically, the premise will be going back through the history of Tokusatsu, past, present, and future. Be it Ultraman, Kamen Rider, Super Sentai, or obscure stuff. And sometimes there would be instances where hosts could say what they would change about the show or their fan episode ideas. I'd listen to that, yeah. The podcast will be about making a Power Ranger idea. So we start off with what season, what will adapted. I don't think that's worded correctly. And depending on what we've decided, we'll discuss the making of the season, the naming of the team and villains, and who the aliases are, etc. The name of it will be Adaptation Trains. So basically how I would adapt in podcast form. Toku Takes of the Decade. Kind of simple, really. A review of different shows in Tokusatsu, as well as different media, as well as the fan base. I would mostly be flying solo, but I will collab with other people if they wanted to. Tokusatsu Podcast Channel Show. A review of any Tokusatsu shows, like Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, Ultraman, and lesser-known Toku shows. Who will it be? You, Toku Nation, and a few others. I'm interested, yeah. The Emerald Club podcast. It's basically the anti-Hero Ninja show, but longer. I don't know what that is. With more interviews and references to people whose names start with R and rhyme with Kirame Green's first name. All about Toku. I just talk about Kamen Rider and occasionally mention other Toku to make the name of the podcast name seem relevant and make myself look like an expert. The latest Toku. Yeah, that's it. Short and simple. I like it. Guns talks whatever. I talk whatever.
Best synopsis ever.
Toku Talk. The podcast will be broken up into sections. Toku News, Toku Reviews, and Interviews. Hey, that rhymes. Behind the Rubber Suits. Basically, it's a podcast that talks about all of the things that happen behind the scenes in Tokusatsu. I'd watch it. Podcast Sentai YIAY Ranger. Power Rangers Podcast Force. That sounds like an adaptation idea that just was never made. Toku Stars. Ultraman Ginga, Gokai Red, and Kamen Rider Decade talk about what's going on in their respective, wrong form of their, shows and universes. The good, the bad, and the weird, and have interviews with Riders, Rangers, and Ultra. Sort of like Cast Ranger, I don't know what that is. But its fourth wall breaking is Deadpool levels of ridiculous, and the host poke fun of their tropes and stories since they're all similar but different. And finally, I haven't thought of a name yet, but it's going to be a podcast where I try to convince people that Burima is the most underrated character in Metal Heroes. Kiro Ninja. Just stop. For the next Toku-themed YIAY, next month will be my 4-year anniversary on YouTube. Okay, technically, I started this channel in December of 2015, but I didn't upload my very first video until September of 2016, and that's not even counting all the older accounts that have since been taken down, so technically I've been on YouTube longer than 4 years, but anyway, it's the 4-year anniversary of this account from when I start uploading videos to this account. So anyway, the next Toku-themed YIAY question is, describe my channel in 5 words. Leave your answers in the comments below, and I'll pick my favorites in the next Toku-themed YIAY. Also, link in the description to the previous episode. Here's a clip! Cringy Toku fanbase names. Got a brand new video for you, virgins. Top of the morning to you, Toku Club. Welcome back once again, Doki Doki Sentai Club.